So here's one I'm really excited about because this is one I ran into pretty consistently in my draft, and I guarantee you anyone who is watching right now is going to run into this conundrum as well, which is there are a lot of running back by committee situations. What we're going to do here to sort of keep it moving is I'm going to just sort of give you the rapid fire of which team, which players, and you tell me which decision you would make based on value. We are going to start in Ayuk's second favorite team on the planet, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris at RB24 or Jaylen Warren at RB32?
Ahead and take Jaylen Warren here. And trust, this is one that I just flipped on recently. I was feeling good about Warren. The injury happened. They weren't feeling very optimistic about his availability for week one, but apparently the recovery's been going strong. Warren is just a better player, and this is Arthur Smith coming over from Atlanta. They have no problem rotating running backs when one of them isn't Bijan Robinson. This is not going to be last year where everyone's pissed off that Najee Harris isn't getting the volume that maybe Bijan should have gotten last year. Warren's a better player. He's better in space. He's much more creative in the passing game. He can run routes down the field. Najee's a bull, and this offense is about to be stuttering all year. They're going to need explosive plays. Warren's the play here.
Yeah, I have a friend who happens to be very deep in the sort of Steelers sort of universe. And when I asked him this question, he said Jaylen Warren as well. So for what that's worth, it looks like the consensus here is if you can wait and still get him, Jaylen Warren over Najee Harris. Next, we go over to the city of Cincinnati. Zach Moss at RB27 or Chase Brown at RB37?
Same division, same tail. I'm taking Chase Brown again. I like his versatility and what he's going to be able to add. Zach Moss is a good player, and he's going to do exactly what they want, which is take rushes on first, sometimes second down. He's not going to be able to pull more than 4 or 5 yards a game. It's basically what Joe Mixon was doing, only he's not nearly as talented as Joe Mixon. It's why in 2022 that Samaje Perine had more RB1 finishes than Joe Mixon did. It's because they were able to get Perine out in space and let him work and have some high-volume games. From the receiving perspective, it's just not Zach Moss's bag. So I would take the flyer on Brown at RB37 with the hopes that he can maybe be a high-end RB2 as opposed to Zach Moss, who we know probably won't be worse than RB32, but does not have the ceiling of what people are hoping he will be.
Very interesting. I have Zach Moss on my bench in one league. And that's
he's gonna have weeks.
Yeah, that's probably the only player, honestly, on my whole team that I'm like, we'll see. So
he's gonna score 2 touchdowns week 1, 40 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you could trade him immediately.
Perfect. That's actually really good advice. I'm gonna take you up on that because none of my friends watch my fucking show. They don't care about me. So they're lost. Okay, Los Angeles Chargers, coached by one of my fucking favorite people on the planet, Jim Harbaugh. We have Ravens backfield West, Gus Edwards, RB35, or the oft-injured but potentially very talented J.K. Dobbins at RB41. Who are you taking?
Because for J.K. Dobbins to go through what he's gone through and to burn as many people as he has, although not his fault, nobody's get fault in injuries, you hate to see him going so close to Gus Edwards. Value-wise, I got to go Gus. That line is beefed up. They're going to run you know better than anybody how good Greg Roman and John Harbaugh are at running the ball. I want Gus Edwards, who should be healthy, who should get not just the high value touches, but will probably be the guy who is handling the majority of the volume in this offense and is really the best bet if you're talking about the ADP here, right? Like if Gus Edwards was going RB24 and J.K. Dobbins was going, RB41 and 46 even, I'd say Dobbins is the better bet ROI wise, but they're just too close. Give me the safer choice. Give me the guy I know can handle the volume and can take a beating.
Totally. So if you're looking at your players that you've got ahead of you, ready to be drafted, and these two are available. Take the safe bet, folks. Gus Edwards.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the team we were just talking about with Amon-Ra St. Brown building up on where they left off. And now the question once again rears its head. Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery?
And you're like, Jesus at the wedding, saving the good wine for last, man. This is the tough stuff right here.
I got one more after this, but this is what I'm excited about.
No, you're ramping up for sure. You're not making it easy on me. I would have maybe poured a little bit more champagne in my glass had I known this was coming. You know what? I'm just gonna say with the muddiness at RB this year, give me Gibbs. Give me Gibbs, especially with the dip that you're able to get right now from his hamstring injury that people are a little overblowing. He's a guy that can do things that very few running backs in the league can do, not just from a play standpoint, but from a point scoring standpoint. David Montgomery is going to be a little bit more touchdown dependent. So I want these guys that can separate themselves in their overall game from their rushing, receiving ability, third down, everything that you're going to want. David Montgomery is an amazing value on drafts. However, there's about 10 David Montgomerys in this year's draft, whether you're looking at like a Najee Harris, like a Zamir White, like a Raheem Mostert, like a Tony Pollard. You're going to be able to get that value in those, sixth, seventh round. Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy that when he's rocking and rolling, you're looking at peak Alvin Kamara. He would be a top 6 to 8 pick regardless of the format. So I'm looking that direction, especially PPR, full PPR formats.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the good news for anyone who's in a fantasy draft, I mean, I'm only speaking for myself. So if I'm full of shit and your stats say otherwise, feel free to just let me know. But this particular case, it feels harder to lose. Like, I do feel like they both can give you, because I had Jahmyr Gibbs last year in some leagues, and I would have games where David Montgomery was taking everything I wanted. And then there were games where Jahmyr Gibbs was getting the lion's share of the points that day. And I'm sure David Montgomery would have loved some of that. But at the end of the day, it always felt pretty well balanced. And I think between the two of them, you will be left with a talented backfield that one way or another in the season is going to get you some results.
Talking about what I think some people forget is the focal point of this Detroit Lions offense is the running attack. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Sam Laporta. They keep hyping up Jameson Williams. This is a run or team, and they can hit you in a lot of different directions. And they're bringing back Ben Johnson. I mean, we talked about the 49ers and how, their core strength is their ability to run over offenses. Christian McCaffrey faced the most 8-man boxes of any running back in the league last year and was still as productive as he was. This is something the Lions are really trying to mimic, and they do a really good job of it. So I love both of these, and they both represent different builds, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, you can kind of take him as a corner piece, and then you can smash wide receiver, or you can smash wide receiver early and know you're going to be able to rely on David Montgomery once you get to those mid rounds. I mean, fundamental pieces.
Totally. Well, we got one more. Tennessee Titans, Tony Pollard or Tyjae Spears.
Pollard here, which is such a funny one because, he's one of the more sour grapes of last year amongst the entire community. And, for good reason. He wasn't great. He's coming off an injury, but still, he there's some runs where his vision was the problem, not his ankle. But, last year he was drafted at the 1-2 turn in fantasy drafts, and he turned in a late RB1, high RB2 finish, depending on your format. We hated that. Well, you know what? He's walking into a situation right now where he's probably going to get a similar opportunity, and he's going like you have on here, the RB26. I mean, that's going to be a pretty significant return on investment. They bring him in because Spears is a guy who can be productive in minimal volume, but he's not a load-bearing running back. They beefed up this offensive line pretty decently as well. They bring in Callahan as the coach, who I love. I think that's an excellent opportunity for Pollard to kind of get working in space, very much like how they use Mixon outside zone action. You guys know how that works for some of these guys. So give me Pollard, give me the high upside there. Spears is going to be a a pop start here and there, maybe a couple games, but nothing more.